And welcome back to a little Tallahassee Talk podcast here, episode 20, season 2 of the podcast. Of course, your boys back here. Andrew Jupe joined alongside Trent Young. Don't know if he's to my right or to my left. Still working out these editing quirks as here we're back on the visual, Trent. But as I see the video, I'm peeking some new equipment, big dog. Let us hear that velvety voice and tell us how we're doing today here on the official podcast here of the Tallahassee Soccer Club. You know, it's Tallahassee Talk.
You already know, Jupe. So, yeah, I actually make a little music in my spare time with my roommate. I totally forgot about this microphone and, just saw it the other day. And I was like, dang, I could probably hook that up to the computer, get a lot better audio than that stupid Zoom call crap that we were ripping from before. So I'm definitely happy to have this set up and sounding a little bit better for y'all coming forward. But, yeah, dude, just excited to get into episode 20, man, and we got a lot of news to get into, so why don't you let the people in on what we got going on this week, too?
Absolutely. We're going to have to walk some things back, Trent, and we want to give you a little peek of just what lower league soccer is all about, and I think that's going to be the first item on the agenda here in our pseudo A block. Of course, then we're going to get into some threads. TSC dropping those uniforms, man. We got the away ones locked down. Home ones still to be decided. Members, you already know what it looks like here, but make sure you get those votes in. We're going to get to that, break those down for you. Also, coming up in the next segment, we're going to talk about just some general updates, little quick hitters. There's 2 or 3 things we want to brush up on, and with our cool going on around the club, so we want to make sure you are updated on those. And then, why don't we throw a little celebrity appearance into the mix, some exciting conversation from more than just us here, Trent. So, let's waste no time and get right into it here on the Tallahassee Talk podcast. All right, Trent. So like we said, we have a chaotic first segment, but really fun one and a classic. Like we said, this is classic lower division soccer, of course. TSC in the 4th level of that soccer pyramid we love to reference so much. MLS at the top, the big leagues, the major leagues. And, of course, we're down here, the semi-professional at the National Premier Soccer League. So if you're joining with us, we're going to have some informational episodes for the first time if you're coming aboard to be able to break that down for you coming up. But, Trent, let's get into it. Of course, we talked about last time. We talked about what wasn't there. Tell us a little bit, for those who didn't catch episode 19, of what the conversation was shortly and how things have changed.
Yeah, so at the beginning of our last episode, we were talking about how the NPSL Gulf Coast Conference, which TSC plays in, lost both Port City and Pensacola. So those 8 teams, that we had in the league last year dwindled down to 6. And, it just with those games that, you were saying we're the 6th team. So we play the other teams twice. There's 5 other teams. That's 20% of the schedule right there, the home and away with both of those teams. So those were going to be huge games, and they still are going to be. But like you said, at about 90 minutes after we released our pod, we got some corrections and found out that Pensacola FC is actually going to be back in the Gulf Coast Conference of the NPSL. So we were going to play them, keep the 850 Cup alive, but now it's going to mean a lot more. These are league matches, league sanctioned, and just really excited to have them back. And, now we know for sure. We were kind of iffy. Is it just going to be a home game here in Tallahassee against them? We're going to have a home and away. Well, now we get a chance to travel out to Pensacola and catch that game as well, Jupe. So just super stoked about that and happy that, we get another team, a team that we're familiar with, and a team that is in the 850 Cup back in the league, man.
Absolutely. Like you said, Trent, it takes what would have been a 10-game regular season slate with that kind of friendly/exhibition game mixed in there with Pensacola. Now a league sanctioned, they are a full-fledged member. We've gotten information from both the supporters group of Pensacola FC, and then we've also gotten word from the Prez, Chris Petley here, confirming it is official. Paperwork and application has been submitted to the NPSL. Not only has it been submitted, it has been approved. So the NPSL, the league says, go for it. So it takes 6 teams up to 7, a 10-game regular season schedule, 12-game. So like you said, Roots, Pensacola, Tallahassee, back in it, all back in the Gulf Coast Premier League. So we look at it, Trent, only lost Port City here, so maintaining kind of the bigger conferences here in the nation. And those 7-plus team conferences are always so fun to watch because you get the big slate. and have that big game schedule. And really cool to see. I'm so glad that Pensacola is back fully here in the NPSL. And it'll be a lot of fun, exciting stuff to look forward to, of course, as always. Trent, but we talked about how that is like classic lower league soccer because we knew Port City was going to be out. There was a couple different things going on with the program that we knew was going to be an end result of them folding as far as the NPSL concerns. What they're looking like as far as other leagues, I'm not sure about, and we may never know, Trent, until we get into the season and we start seeing some highlights or some notifications or stuff like that. But classic hearsay, Pensacola was told that we were out, and it was came as a surprise. Like we talked about in the last episode, they've got a great pedigree, especially on the women's side. They had 2 GCPL teams and an NPSL team in the men's division. You've got 3 teams that are Tier 5 and Tier 4 of the U.S. soccer pyramid, and you can't put together an NPSL team. Very confusing. Of course, as we know, small-time soccer, it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And it takes sometimes some miracle money coming in from a late donor or a late sponsor to get a team bus just to get to games, let alone try to establish and plan for a whole season. So something happened late. We were just told, like we said, probably about a week before you will hear this podcast, but we had gone the entire offseason, but it was a crazy 2 weeks. Entire offseason, we didn't think Port City was coming back, so it looked like a 7-team league. All of a sudden, Pensacola drops for 2 weeks. Boom, we dropped the podcast to tell you that Pensacola has dropped, and now they're back. And so I don't know what to believe, but this is the cycle of information. So we're like looking through Twitter, trying to track it down. We have to get word from our president, who's talking to their president. You know, there's not a uniform league structure since it's so free-flowing. So we will reach out to the NPSL and try to get official word. Of course, keep you updated on social media, as that's probably how you found this podcast. But Trent, chaos ensuing, classic Tier 4 type stuff here. So it's a funny anecdote, and I say a great way because it gives us a fantastic piece of conversation. And this is almost turning into a Pensacola FC pod at points. But of course, long-lasting impact here as far as Tallahassee is concerned. So that's why we want to focus on this. And just like any big news with the Roots, like we talked about the 850 Cup, the 6-game series, 2 each from each team. The Florida Roots based out of Panama City. The Pensacola FC, of course, based out of Pensacola, and us here in Tallahassee. All 8-5 area code, all in the state of Florida, all have that rivalry, the 850 Cup. And so, you know, it's just like any big rivalry here in your conference, in your sport, of what's going on. You want to know what those closest to you are doing. So that's why we maybe give a little bit more emphasis to some of the other teams in the league, but outside of that 850 Cup. Plus, it's so much fun, man. So that's why at some points this can feel like a PFC podcast, but we had to catch you updated on it, and it was just funny. It was just how it was, and that is classic. And the more, if you want to learn more and be more a part of TSC and kind of consume content or go to those games and see these games and just learn more about lower division soccer as we continue to do so, Trent, this is just par for the course, man. You just got to be ready to be along for the ride. Fire from the hip at all times, dude. You got to be ready for a change. Just embrace it, love it. And in a post-COVID world, I think people are a little more open to find from the hip, as that's kind of how we have been doing it, man. But any other thoughts on this big news here for Pensacola, bolstering us back up to a 7-team conference here in the South region of the National Premier Soccer League?
For sure, man. Like you said, we've been talking about Pensacola a ton this week and last week already. But you know what they say, you got to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So they're the reigning champions of the 850 Cup, man. We got to know what they're up to. So it was, and like you said, it just kind of was funny. Like, how are they going to go beat up on us in the Roots, win this dang cup, and then bounce out of the league? Like, are they going to hold on to the trophy forever? Are they going to return it? Like, are we just going to play the Roots? Like, so it makes a lot more sense. And like you said, they got a great program. They got 3, high quality men's teams and a very good women's team as well. So I'm just happy to have them back, and, happy to have a couple more games, anything to extend that season, man. We go all year long, just waiting for the summer, baby.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it makes it seem so much closer. Less than 3 months now as we've broken into the threshold here, awaiting the season. Once again, still looking around that April 30th time slate that we told you about last week, with preseason potentially starting as soon as April 23rd. It rapidly approaches, And by the time you hear this podcast, we'll probably be closer to 2 months away than even 3 months away. So stay tuned for some exciting stuff. But that'll wrap us up here for our top topic. Pensacola is back. Come right on back. We're going to talk some unis. All right, welcome back. And I would say we're joined by a very important person, but I'd say that is a gross understatement. Of course, one of the chief citizens here of Tallahassee, father of two, husband of one, a man who puts the people first, the community second, soccer third, and the Tallahassee SC Talk podcast fourth, a man who won the inaugural 2021 Tallahassee Award, but most importantly, the president and founder of the Tallahassee Soccer Club, Chris Lionheart Petley. Welcome aboard, my man.
Man, I appreciate it. I'm gonna have to clip that and play that before I enter the rooms at work and see if I can get a raise or something. That's awesome.
Get some theme music, high fives going in, man. Get a nice
Absolutely.
Gold and black regalia going.
I think I'll get a bunch of eye rolls rather than anything.
Hey, hate it because they ain't it, man. I'll tell you that. But thanks, Chris. All that being said, jokes aside, respect the mission, respect what you got going on. Thanks so much for taking some time to us to spill the beans for the people. First thing, Trent and I just got done talking about the drama with Pensacola FC. I guess quickly kind of recap that from your side, because this kind of turned into a logistical nightmare and something you were kind of concerned about, not seriously, but, it has impacts here for TSC in the 2022 season.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of maneuvering going on behind the scenes. We're extremely excited that Pensacola will continue to be in the NPSL. We've always thought of them as our friends, and we've been in the league even back when we were at Gulf Coast Premier League, and we are looking forward to continuing to grow together. There was some hiccups along the way, as there are with lots of lower division soccer clubs. And this is not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And they had to look at their resources, and I know they've got some issues with the stadium, maybe some construction going on and other events. I mean, those are all the things that clubs deal with around the country. They actually field two teams. They still have a team that plays in the Gulf Coast Premier League, and we're excited that they're going to be back in the NPSL. And hopefully, not hopefully, but and being able to continue the 850 Cup, right? The competition within the competition. We're excited to be able to continue that with Florida Roots and Pensacola FC and try to raise that trophy this year. But we had to move some things around with our schedule, as you guys will see. Hopefully, when this is airing next week, the first week in March, we should have our schedule out to the public. But you'll see we had to move some things around, but we're happy to work with our partners and our partner clubs to make sure that all of our seasons can be successful. So we're just super excited to be back in the league.
Absolutely. And then, of course, kind of selfishly for TSC, keep the EFO Cup going, like you said, but then it turns what would have been 5 home games into 6 home games, so you get the extra trip down to the Gene and an opportunity to showcase the local community just exactly what you guys have going on, and what a great part of the community this is, especially being the big show in town here during the summers here in Tallahassee. So, Chris, kind of the main thing and the big draw to this club is the environment and the purpose. And so just kind of break down, for those who don't know, kind of the thesis of the club, just kind of succinctly, and what it's all about. Because I think nobody besides the president and the founder could do a better job in doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, the whole goal around this club is to provide local players an ability to play at the highest level possible, to either chase their dreams, to continue their dream, or to have something for the younger kids to look forward towards playing. But it's also as important, something unique for our community, for families and friends to come out to support their neighbors, to create something that's culturally, uniquely Tallahassee. It's no knock against our colleges in the city, but this is something that's separate. It's a true minor league sports franchise that is all about our city, built on the memory and lasting legacy of the Dale Mabry Airfield. And we continue to push forward as much as we can to grow the game of soccer here locally. But really, we want to create an exciting environment for folks to come out on Saturdays during the summers to Gamecock Stadium and just really enjoy themselves and talk with your friends and families and root for the kid you may have watched growing up on the field to pursuing his dreams against some of our regional and geographically close neighbors. And I think that that's what is exciting. It's built on all volunteers. No one involved in our club is making any money. This is not a business entity. This is truly a passion about our city, about these players, and about the folks that join us as members to build this alongside of our leadership and our board of directors.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just awesome. And I know you talk about all the time being a member driven club. And so a big part of that is membership. So, what exactly, it seems to a lot of people, membership to a club is kind of a unique thing, right? Because it's not something you typically have structured in football. They typically be boosters, I guess, would be the kind of the closest reference. But in the soccer world, the membership or being part of a club or member group is really huge to it, especially here at TSC. Break down exactly what is membership and what exactly is a draw for people to do so and support this club here locally.
Yeah, our members are the club. It's this abstract thing, but our members are the lifeblood of our club. They pay a fee, an annual fee of $80. But every decision we make as a club, we push out to our members. If we're looking at what our jerseys were going to be this year, we gave them options. They voted on and chose what the jersey was. When we started the U19 program last year, we reached out to our members. They gave us feedback. We continue to ask them what it is they'd like to see in their local community club. We can't be a community club if it's not run by the community. So this is the avenue for the community to run the club. They also help fund our club because, again, this does take money, but every dollar raised goes directly towards the operating costs. As a member, really, it breaks down to you get season tickets. So every one of our games is just $7. But this year we'll have 6 home games. So if you just add that up, that's $42 in season tickets that you get. They get a member shirt that usually costs us roughly $15 or so dollars. So you're upwards of like $57. So essentially we're making, we're able to take about $20 from each one of our members to go towards paying for the stadium or renting that van or paying for the referees or our jerseys. So we think it's a great value to be a part of something, to have some ownership per se. And we really hope we can find more members and expand the amount of people involved in this club because we want fresh ideas. We want people to be able to have a voice in the direction of how we continue to grow. And we look forward to inviting new people and creating more community. Again, you hear me say that over and over, but it is a community and we're proud of building that with here at City.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, super awesome. Obviously, cool to see that it's such an involvement. And I know, like you said, you push it out to members, every kind of decisions, the uniforms. You guys put that to a vote to get the new home uniforms, which is a huge deal out here this season. And then, of course, during the board meetings, there's the member representative on the board. So the people are highly, highly involved in every single decision in this club. So just cool to see. And once again, pushing the value. So if you're interested in some membership or just want some more information, we're going to put a link down below. Make sure you check out the TSC website for more info on that. But of course, Chris, kind of moving on, you referenced it one thing as a new project you guys talked about in the fall. The U19s, a new venture, something that kind of came out of left field. Who came up with that idea, and how did that go this past fall in the maiden voyage here of the U19 Tallahassee Soccer Club team?
Yeah, when we look back to the 2021 season and our first couple games, kind of before some of our college students returned back to play, we had a very young team with students that were kids that were in high school. 3 or 4 of those guys on the field, 16, 17-year-old juniors in high school playing. So we looked at that and we thought, how can we maybe build a program to involve those younger folks and create really like a system. So we looked at what other clubs were doing around the country and we put together a program, but we wanted to be different. We continue to try to make things different and do things our way. So we created a program for high school boys to become a part of our U19 program, but we call it a leadership academy for those who play soccer. And we put as much focus on the development off the field as is on the field. We're not putting a high priority on the wins and losses. While it's always fun to win, we want to make sure we're providing experiences that help to develop these kids to help them get to the next level. So we have trainings during the week, but also during the week we have seminars, usually on Wednesday nights, where they're learning everything from branding and marketing to nutrition, food science to leadership. They have different speakers come in and speak with them as well. So it's been an exciting kind of first year. We've learned a lot, and we look forward to really continuing to grow this. And we also played in the NPSL 19 League. So we made it to the finals in the fall season. We'll be playing again in the NPSL spring season. And again, we don't focus necessarily on the wins and losses, but that gives them an outlet to play real competitions against kids from other cities that are really the best in their city. In iron sharpens iron, and we look forward to providing these experiences. But in addition to the league, we are taking visits to colleges in a 4-hour radius to provide our U19 players an ability to meet coaches or to play against college level people and really challenge themselves. So at 15 and 14 and 16, we're giving them opportunities to play against 18, 19, 21-year-old college players. And again, if you're not focusing on wins and losses, you're not focusing on the financial aspects of building a giant academy, you're focusing on those individual players, that's what we want to do. So we'll continue to build that out. I don't really anticipate us ever going lower than a U19 program. I mean, high school age kids, it helps for many reasons. It helps provide a pathway for some of those kids to get to the next level, but it also helps get them in a system that maybe one day they could be on the field to play for us in the summer. And I think you'll see a lot of those kids, you call them kids, man, a lot of those young men this summer on the field for us. And it's exciting, and it's really awesome to go watch them. We play from August until October, and then we break for the high school season, and then they come back in February. So we're just now getting back up. Our first NPSL game is actually Saturday, March 5th against the New Orleans Jesters at Leon High School. But it's been great to watch all of those young men play during the high school and be able to get out to the playoff game, the district games, and see what Cade Swart has done in this district as a sophomore, to watch just Ethan Stewart continue to grow and Kyle Otis continue to lead, and these local players that are sophomores, with Gideon Sheets and Donovan and Noah Miller, and it's just awesome. And what Florida High has going on over there, and Robin Malgano and Tomas and Julian, and again, it gives us really just an ability to celebrate these young guys at a different level than just weekend tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Super cool. And then that was the one thing that kind of came special to me is because, playing a little youth soccer growing up, excuse me, obviously getting to travel and getting to do those fun things, playing high quality soccer. But the ability to have the building workshops, you're teaching them nutrition, how to market themselves, especially here in the state of Florida, being able to take money going into college and being able to promote your own brand, and then visiting colleges that these guys could potentially gain partial or full scholarships to is just a super awesome opportunity and just really cool to see here in our city, and an extension, of course, of the kind of the thesis of the club, right? It's people, community, soccer in that order, and you're serving these young men throughout. So just super cool, and something we always try to give a shout out. Every episode we'll sprinkle in a little U19 action, but a really
Awesome.
cool kind of arm of the club here to shout out these young men, which, Chris, I mean, you set yourself up, dude. You can tell you're a pro here in the communications world, man. The next topic
I
of
know how to get a
conversation.
tangent, man. I plant the seeds.
There you go. So as we sprinkle them down the line, I'm going to water them a little bit here, let you continue talking about the youth movement here in the club. You, the club, the board, and the Tallahassee community have built something really special here. Maiden voyage. You talked about the U19 team, but also coming up in just a couple days, maybe a day or two after we air this, Chris. It's going to be the what happening down at Gene Cox Stadium on Wednesday, March 2nd. I'll let you bring it in.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. We are proud to host the really, I want to say, the first ever Big Bend Boys High School All Star Game. I've done research and looked around, and I can't see any of this happening for more than 15 years, if not beyond that. But we're super proud to be able to host a All Star game for high school boys It's going to be sponsored by the Tallahassee Democrats. We want to make sure we give them a lot of recognition for being able to partner with us to put this on. But it really is just an extension of what we want to do with our club. We have no ambitions with this event. It is purely to recognize high school players and give them just that one more game to have the best of the best from schools like Swanee, who would never really have an opportunity, Wacoa, Gadsden. We have 8 schools participating. And I'm not knocking those schools. Please don't take that the wrong way. I'm trying to show you that we want to have as many participants as possible, and we're real excited about it. But it's something that we just looked around the landscape to say, what can we do? And we don't kind of responding to folks out there, and I probably shouldn't spend my time, but just to make it clear, each high school coach at their high school, they chose the players that will be represented. We did not choose the players. We're just providing a platform, right? Because that's all I think we've ever wanted to do, is even with our summer team, provide a platform for players. So we'll be at Beancock Stadium. It's free admission. We hope that folks can come out, and we hope that once we get this first one out of the way here, we can grow this, and maybe we can have a girls' all-star game next year. We just have to get it done so we know what it takes. But we're excited. We're providing a shirt. We rented the stadium. We're paying for the rest. We're paying for insurance. We're paying. We're doing all this just out of what our local mission is as a nonprofit to grow the game locally. And I hope these kids have a great, for some of them, last game. It's not a senior game. There will be juniors and sophomores playing. We ask the coaches to give us their best players, and we want folks to take it as such. But we hope it's fun. We hope it's like any other all-star game where they get to express themselves. They get to have fun. Maybe they get to play a different position than they normally wouldn't get a chance to play. But we're really looking forward to it. And I can't thank the high school coaches enough for jumping out and letting us put this together, because it'd be nothing without their participation. But we do. We hope we continue to grow it. It becomes an annual event that I'm proud to just, again, put on from my dining room table and organize it and call and reach out to these coaches with the help of Coach Bruno. But really, I was speaking to one of the All-Stars the other day, and they said, and they didn't want to sound vain, but they said, look, man, I really hope I'm an All-Star because I want an accolade. And he said, I didn't get to win districts. I didn't get to win states. I didn't get to win anything, but I know that we had a great time, and being an all-star is going to kind of solidify that for me. And I just took that back, and I said, man, that's why I'm doing it. And that's why we're doing it as a club. So we're really excited, again, to just provide a platform for these young men to play the game they love just one more time.
Absolutely. One last dance. And that would be super cool, especially for the seniors. But, of course, just the raw talent, because, as you know, Chris, there's a super big surge, it seems like, in Tallahassee, that I feel like the soccer scene's getting a little more respected here over the last 4 or 5 years. But that sophomore and junior bubble, I think, is going to be really cool to watch. So I'm really glad that some of those guys are getting in the mix as well. So it'll be a really cool atmosphere. And like you said, Gadsden, Swanee, these guys on the fringes of the Big Bend. Tallahassee gets a lot of love, but typically soccer here in the Big Bend, man, severely underserved. So really glad you guys are getting this going. It'll be super cool. The only question I had, go for it.
Just to jump in, and one of the cool things the Democrats are going to be doing is they're going to announce the Big Bend Player of the Year and the Big Bend Coach of the Year at our game during halftime. So I think that's going to add some excitement, some really cool factor to it, because odds are that player and that coach is going to be on the field in front of their friends and family. Typically those things are announced on social media, and I just think it's going to be really cool, and I'm thankful for them to doing that, because it's all about moments and experiences that I keep saying, and to be able to at halftime, accept that recognition and be able to hear people clap in real time and cheer. I think it's an awesome moment, man, and I'm looking forward to that too. And I just, again, want to shout out the Democrat for doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And who knows? Maybe that big player of the year, we'll see them this summer, maybe make it 4 straight for the senior team, to be determined. But going forward, Chris, another question I had, and that Trent and I were kind of talking about what the podcast is like. Of the senior team, have you guys gotten into the nuts and bolts? Who's going to be coaching these teams? When that's kind of figuring out, are they going to have like a draft, player selection? Because I want to know, is Bruno going to be coaching against his boys, or is Coach Rico going to be coaching against his, or what's kind of the breakdown, or have you guys ironed that out yet, or are you just going to kind of
Yeah,
roll the ball out and see what happens?
I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, man, we're modeling it like similar to I guess the NBA or the NFL. So the coaches of the teams that won districts, right, will be coaching the All Star game because they deserve that recognition as well. So on one side of the table, we'll have and I don't have it in front of me, man. I'm gonna kill it, but I think it's Childs, so it's BMAC and Wakulla, if I have that right. May not have that right. And then on the other side, it's McCray and JP2. I think they're not around this for this time, but we wanted to make sure we recognize the coaches, and then we'll break down the teams to make sure that it's based on position and being even. But we won't break up high school. We won't break up the schools, but we'll just put the schools on those other two teams. And so yeah, man, I originally wanted to do it LeBron and Trey style, right? But I think the time of that would, we had Ethan on one side and Kate on the other picking teams, and it might take 2 hours to make that happen. So we wanted to make sure the coaches definitely got some recognition, and we hope that continues to grow. That when they win the district, in the back of their mind, not in the front, they can say, "Oh, man, I get to coach the All-Star game this year." So that's how it's going to work out.
There you go. Very cool. Absolutely. And so if it comes to it, overtime rules, we have anything special? We doing a little extra period? We going PKs? You guys thought about it? Because these guys aren't going to let it go as a even tie if it comes to it.
I'm going to defer all that to Mozzie, our head referee. I've not even thought about it, man. I'm not doing PKs. I know that much. We'll have to do a hot dog eating contest or something, but it's not going to end in a tie. I think we're looking for like 7-6 or something. We want to see goals.
There you go. Absolutely. Super cool. Super cool. So we'll transition, Chris, out of kind of the youth movement that we talked about, fixate a lot on that, which is great. But of course, the meat and bones of the operation, the senior team here, what a lot of people are excited about. I'm going to toss it to you, open-ended question. What's the most exciting part, or what are you looking forward to? What's different maybe here coming up in 2022? Because we're back in the Gulf Coast, back in the NPSL. We have a little bit of an abbreviated schedule, but still those big hitters in Jacksonville, New Orleans, Hattiesburg, Southern States. But what's fresh and what's going to be a new approach, something that we can hype up?
Yeah, I mean, you set it up, but I think it's just it's not really sexy per se, but it's continuing to build. Right, we're always about that natural progression. So being able to get our newly enthroned captain Johnny Fitzgerald back on the field again for us here another summer, and then you get some of these guys that we expect to come back and to continue to build on what we did last year and bringing in some of the youth movement. Just this last week, we had a tryout, an annual open tryout, and we had over 40 men out there. And being able to identify some talent. Spoke to Coach today, and he's trying to whittle that down. And I think he's got some ideas on how to pick some of the players to take a progression. And then you have some folks that have got another year in college at programs, which also helps with Zuri Robertson and Nico Peralta. And then, you got folks that are in colleges around that are coming back. Drew Daunt's been away at Belmont Abbey, and we're excited to get him back. And, I'm announcing a lot of these players on the podcast, but we'll be pushing out social media announcements here soon. But for me, it's always, and it's selfish, but it's always just getting to get these guys back in a room and just talk to them and see how they're doing and spend time with them and how they've grown over the year. Kari is going to be back for a while, and he's working out some internships, but he'll be back around. He's looking to walk on at Howard. So it's just a lot of these stories that I'm excited about, and watching these guys grow into men, have babies and get married and do all those things that happen as you get older. Selfishly, again, that's what I'm excited about and being able to have them return. So it's not that we're going to be doing a wholesale lot of changes. I would say we're going to be doing a lot more off the field activities with our guys. We want to continue to build that, and we've learned a lot from last year, our first year in the NPSL, about what it's going to take to compete. So while we were a game out of the playoffs last year, we hope to be a game in the playoffs this year. And I think, some of the calculus of that gets a little messy, given that Port City is no longer in the league. So again, that's two less games, that's less possible points. But we're not focusing on that today. We're focusing on getting the right players together and getting them in a system under the leadership of Coach Bruno, who will be back again, and assistant coach Manuel Rico, as well as getting Joe McDowell, the head coach up at Thomas University. He'll be continued to be involved and maybe have a couple of those players that we're trying to work out some housing and some lodging. But I think it'll be a really good show because we've learned a lot of what it takes to compete in the NPSL, and we think we've got it together this year, and we'll be able to make the playoffs. And who knows what happens after that.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's about it, Chris. Almost everything I got. Open-ended once again. So we talked about the excitement. Anything else surrounding the team, the club, the organization? I'll open the floor up to you. Anything you want to say or shout out real quick that you got going on? Because I know you're on a timestamp here, so we're trying to keep it short.
Yeah,
But I would be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. I'm trying to fit this in on my lunch break. As folks understand, you got the day job and you got the passion job. So I'm trying to squeeze this in on my lunch break. But I'll say this. I say from the moment that clock struck in January 1st, 2022, and even before that, the thing I've been preaching to our board of directors and to anyone who listens is that this year we're focused on growing. We're focused on growing our board internally. We're focused on growing our membership, focused on growing the amount of people that are aware of us. The biggest competition we have is obscurity. So if people don't know about us, we can't grow. So we're focused on that growth, and then we're focused on growing on the field with the rankings and with the results. So we're just wake up every day after my day job and after my kids and after Tallahassee SC talk and focus on growth. That's what we're doing. So if you're listening to this and you have an idea, give us a holler, man. This is a community club. If you know how we can grow, please let us know your thoughts and come be a part of us. There is a space for you. There's a spot for you, a position for you to play. We have just recruited a good group of Florida State University sports management students that will be out at the field and honing their craft and bringing fresh ideas to us. This is our fourth year in existence, our third season. We just continue to grow, and you're going to hear it from me every chance I get. I really just focus on how to get better. I also want to, talk a little bit about, you talked to me, and I know you and I have talked about expanding the people that we talk to, right? So it's not just me. I just want to give a shout out for whoever continued to listen to the last 30 minutes of this. But, our board of directors is unbelievable, and they put up with all of my crazy ideas, but I want folks to realize that it's not just me, that we're led by G. Williams, who also runs a small business. We're led by Casey Domack, who has two young children, and she is super involved with everything we do. We're led by Brent Edson, who's a small business owner. We're led by Mike Bonfanti, a full-time attorney. We're led by Sean Buchanan, who also has a full-time job and a young kid who's excelling in sports. So just saying, it's not just me. And my wife, of course, is on the board, but my wife does more than just the board. She lets me get out there and do that. So, it's important to know, our club is run by all volunteers, three strong female leaders as well on the board of directors. And it's not just me. So I just wanted to take a chance to make sure you get an opportunity. And I know you and I have talked, so hopefully the listeners will also begin to hear from these other voices this year. Again, that's a big deal of growing who people hear from, and not just Chris Petley, because this is not a Chris Petley deal. Wow, I just spoke about myself in the third person. That is the worst.
They love it. The people love it, man. They love some Petley. But thank you so much, Chris, of course, for coming aboard with us. Yep, we want to honor the board, like you said, just rattled them all off. Thanks so much to the TSC community, TSC board, and everything. Of course, you're just the face, Chris. So whenever we reference you, it's kind of the TSC Petley, meaning the whole board and organization. But yeah, thank you so much for the time and just being able to speak some knowledge and provide some interesting takes and really unpack the organization, the TSC, what it means and what it's about. Because like you said, Chris, tee 'em up, man. What's the order of operations at TSC when it comes to caring about things, man? Before we go, I got to get you to tee it up.
People, community, soccer, always and forever.
There you go. Well, thanks again, Chris. Be well, and appreciate the time, man. Make sure you get something before the end of the day on that lunch break.
Gotcha. Thanks, man.
Yep, take care. Alrighty, next topic of conversation, of course, we got to get into the unis, uniform watch, Trent, thread talk, whatever you want to talk about. Just this past week, of course, the Tallahassee Soccer Club, they're getting out in front of it. They are way ahead of things. Dropped officially the away uniforms here. Of course, we have a white top, black bottom, slick look, in my opinion, Trent. What are your thoughts? Give us a little description, maybe a little breakdown, or what were your instant reactions going forward for the away uniforms, which are official and have been publicized, and therefore we did get the green light to talk about it here in this podcast.
You know it, man. So I'm actually looking at it right here on my phone. They got it posted on the Tallahassee Soccer Club Instagram. So you can go right on there and see both the home and away. But yesterday they posted the away and, predominantly white. It's got a really cool, both of the arms on like the cuff of the arm have a black cuff. And I really like that. It's a really cool accent. And then there's this new thing we got going on down here on looks like the right hip. And that's a little battle line logo. And that's actually my personal favorite. That wasn't on the jersey last year. That's a new design. I really like that a lot. And I think that really makes the whole jersey pop, in my opinion. But that's just what I see first take. What do you think when you look at the jerseys, Jude?
Oh, mean. I love a little diagonal with the slashes because you got the white base, of course, as you can see on the screen as we're describing it. But you have those slashes with the gold and the black. I love the kind of play there. Trent loves the institution of the right hip, like you were saying. It's got the battle and then lions coming down off of it. And so we've been kind of told they've been playing with it a little bit. Is it a star? Is it a World War II plane? Of course, if you know the history of the club a little bit, of course, there's World War II ties with the Battle Lions. Of course, the battalion here at Tallahassee, of course, historically, a lot of ties in there. It's something we can get to in a separate conversation. And really, we need to have a video about talking about the history of TSC. But, of course, that's another conversation for another day. Uniforms, dope. I love the white on the road, man. You go out on the road when you're taking these long trips to Hattiesburg, New Orleans, Pensacola, coming back, business affair, man. So you think about what you're wearing on a business trip. You think a jacket, boom, and you got the white shirt. Same thing here, white and black, clean-cut look on the road, all business, all attitude, man. Plus, Hummer nights, goodness. Plus, hot summer nights, man. You're going out to New Orleans, and it's going to be muggy as no other, man. It's going to be sweaty. The last thing you want to be doing is a black uniform getting roasted in the sun because even at kickoff at 7 o'clock, it is flaming, man. And in the pregame, 5:30, 6 o'clock, you'll be getting roasted out there. So I love that. Of course, summertime league. Big stuff. It would be cool to have a black look here, but of course, practicality, man. Practicality number one, but I think it's going to be a clean-cut look here. You got a little accent here on the 10s. I love the sharp lettering. Of course, it really adds to that diagonal flare that you have on the back. You, of course, can see the sponsors on here. You got Tallahassee, big letters across the chest. Love it. And, of course, all the participants there, but man, it's a sharp look. I'm really excited about it. Like I said, love the clean-cut look. Love all that means as well. Like I talked about the business trip and everything. And the away uniforms are legit, dude. I am absolutely loving it. Slam dunk. Trent, if you had to give it a rating, what are you giving it out of 10?
10. That's the best jersey I've seen in this conference, in this league, hands down. With all due respect to everybody, like that's my favorite jersey. That's my favorite Tallahassee jersey ever. That thing is sick and got a really good price point, only $39.99. So those are currently available for pre-order. You can go ahead and get one of those and just super cheap, go ahead and just feeds back right into the club. It's a nonprofit organization. So actually, I've got a quote here. If it's cool, go ahead and read that real quick.
Yeah.
So when you actually go on the website to pre-order the jersey, it says, "Thanks for visiting the TLHSC store. As a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, all proceeds from the sale of merchandise go directly towards supporting our club. There are no administrative fees in our club, so every penny we earn goes towards supporting the players, paying for field rental, and traveling to away games. Thank you for your support. Hashtag bring the battle. So love that quote right there. I mean, that's TSC right there. That's Chris Petley and a sentence right there. So, just giving back. This goes right back directly into the club, and you get a freaking awesome jersey out of it. So it's a win-win. Everybody's happy. Go ahead and get those things before they sell out. I know it's a pre-order. They're not going to sell out, but you know what I mean.
Sell at that pre-order, baby. Marketing 101. Touchdown. Yeah, man, absolutely dope. And that, like you said, that's the vision, the board of directors, the membership. That's what it is. It's member-funded, member-organized. All funds are transparent. Like you said, 501c3 nonprofit organization. Nobody's getting rich off this soccer club. This is just fueling, feeding the beast, as we like to see here at the Tallahassee Talk podcast. Keep it rolling, man. And you said it was cheap, Trent. Don't bury the lead, big dog. $39.99. Of course, a little processing fee, sales tax, of course, getting thrown into the mix. But under 50 bones, which you can't find anywhere for a game day kit, dude. Legit. I kid you not. On the book, trolling, trying to see what other clubs are doing. I got the pop-up ad since I've been doing a lot of soccer stuff, geographically tagged, etc. Orlando City, I know they're in the MLS. Don't come after me with all that other stuff. They're way above you guys, blah, blah, blah. Game day kits, Trent, going for $140. Game day kits. TSC bringing it to you for $39.99. Affordability, practicality, this is all going back into the club. No overhead, no nonsense. All funding these road trips. Now we got a road game in Pensacola. Get those unis. They look dope. Make the Gene look absolutely beautiful under those lights when we pack the home stadium and the away stadium, because we want to see the people on the road this year too here, Trent. But, of course, as a sidebar, all that being said, yeah, go cop that merch, man. I'm ready to pay up for those as well. Beautiful bargain, and it's going to be great to see those on the field. Any other thoughts here on these away uniforms?
Yeah, sorry. I meant to ask you, what do you think about them? If you had to rate them out of 10, what do you give it, bud?
Dude, I gave a 9. I love the color scheme, but I want to leave room for improvement. And it's not because I feel like there's something missing. It's just perfection is going to be perfection. So I say absolutely dope, slam dunk. Great job by the creative team here with TSC and their partnerships in their board of directors and putting that out and getting that rolling. But, of course, fantastic. And I've seen some cool semi-pro soccer uniforms with some wild colorations. And I'm not necessarily a traditionalist when it comes to uniform. I like the wild colors. But classic look, love it. Give it a 9.0 minimum. I could see myself sneaking up to a 9.5, but I want to leave a little room there. But I'll tell you how it feels once it sets in for a couple weeks, or maybe once I see it under the lights there come April. I may have a little change of heart, but beautiful. Love it. Should be good to go. And we can use that as a transition, Trent, if you're good to go forward. Do you want to talk a little bit about these home uniforms?
Yeah, let's go for it, man.
Okay, so let's transition here. So the away uniforms, those are going to be locked in. We've seen those. Those are official. Like we said, check the link below if you want to cop that merch from TSC, or you just want to see what they look like, because they are dope, and they've been lighting up social media, man. But on the home side, this has come to a different split membership. Of course, if you're a member of the TSC Soccer Club here, and that is Tallahassee Soccer Club. Soccer Club is basically what I just outlined for you, so that is a repetition beyond all means. But all that to say, if you're a member, you know you have a decision. You've been emailed these two options. They've now made the options public, though you've probably been mulling it over. So you're going to go option A or option B. TSC putting the power in the people's hands, as they always do. Once again, this is not a monarchy club. This is a club of the people, for the people, by the people, alongside the people, as we will continue to harp on. Trent, you've got two options. The big difference, option A, diagonal, option B, horizontal. Give me a little feel for it and give me your thoughts on these two options for the home uniforms.
All right, Jupe. So with option A, that's the diagonal one. I really like the little World War II plane, star, whatever the heck we're going to decide. It's something else one day probably. But anyhow, That looks more like a European or like a South American soccer jersey to me. A little more flair, a little more flamboyant. Kind of pops out a little bit more, and I really do like that. But at the same time, man, over on option B, Jupe, you've got the staggered lines, and it's kind of got that etching. Looks kind of like you just shaded it in with like a colored pencil or something, But I really like it. I don't think it's lazy at all. I think it looks really cool. It's really cool design, and I don't know, that one just grabs my attention a little bit more than the other one. You still got the Max Shack up here on the chest on both sides or on both options. I'm sorry, but yeah, dude, what are you thinking about the two? Do you have a personal favorite?
Yeah, Trent, and I would love to play kind of a devil's advocate and go with the other one, option A, but I truly do agree with you. Option B is going to be taking the cake for me. I am partial. I love a good horizontal bar. It really reminds me of the basic U.S. national team jersey. I'm going to quote
Oh
the
yeah.
year wrong, but I want to say '06. They had a two-tone horizontal bars. I think it was either red and blue or white and blue, but it was just a clean-cut look. TSC really playing off that here, so that's why I'm partial to the horizontal as opposed to the diagonal. Also, like you said, the cross-hatching or the sketching, the colored pencil type look. Yeah, it definitely does look legit. It doesn't look childish, and I say that with full sincerity. But of course, it's kind of got a similarity, and you keep a same feel as the away uniforms. You have that kind of diagonal kind of sketch or chop out that you had for the aways, and then kind of a similar feel here. So I like the uniform of the uniforms, Trent, kind of keeping that same feel. Also, instead of having the huge star or the huge plane that's taking up the primarily of the chest, entire body, I love that they're keeping it the same. Keep it on the right hip. Keep that dark logo, a little more contrast. Same logo that you get on the right hip of the away uniform. Of course, we'll put it on the home one. But I love the home golds. Kind of reminds me of the Sunday golds here, the FSU baseball team that they're infamous for. But the home golds, and then you have that same little accent on the sleeve that you really liked about on the away uniforms, that little black strip. I love that being kept on the home uniforms as well. So, membership vote from the podcast. It looks like you're getting +2 on option B. Of course, really interested to see what the members say. Of course, Trent, no loss here. But, we're picking nits right here. Wanted to get the people a sneak peek. Once again, this has been made public, so check out the social media for TSC. And, of course, that's going to be in the link down below to see all that information, depending on your favorite socials or however you arrived at this. But hopefully you can see them up on the screen with us as well, and you can kind of see the differences that we've been painting the picture of. But it looks like option B is the winner, Trent. So are we going to book it up, close it up, or see if the people have some dissenting opinions here within the membership?
I mean, we could always do another Twitter poll, throw it up there, and see what the people say, man.
Rock and roll. Hear from you. Always want to hear from the people. Of course, here at the
Oh, yeah.
Tallahassee Talk podcast for the people, from the people, giving you the news. Also love your input, so feel free to hit the mailbag or reach out to us however you found this podcast. We'd love to be continuing doing interesting conversation and stuff that you'd be interested in, let alone from just the general team news. So having said that, Trent, any more thread talk, or are we going to keep this ship rolling?
Let's keep it going, baby.
All right, so that'll end it here. Come back just after the break. We'll have some interesting discussion. General quick hitters, TFC updates that you got to know.
And welcome back. So we've got a couple more things to talk about here. Just a couple brief updates about the club. No headline in news like a New Jersey or a team coming back into the club after just being expelled. We've got a couple of things to go over. So we've got the schedule. It's been a soft schedule release, not official. We can't talk about it a whole lot, but we will talk about how that's going to play out now with Pensacola. We've also got some U19 updates we'll get into, kind of keep you guys updated on the youth movement of the club and what we've got coming up in the future here at TSC. And we've also got some big business to talk about, Jupe. So why don't you go ahead and start us off with the schedule, man? What you been hearing about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So more updates of no updates, Trent. So we were sent the soft schedule, of course, still in the works. So the NPSL getting it out early to us, Trent. How about a little February action for your official,
Yeah.
unofficial schedule being released? Of course, cannot talk about it. The season time frame has not changed. It's what we thought it would be, even with the Pensacola coming back into the fold. Of course, it's not going to change the timeline because we were on that same timeline with 8 teams. So 7 versus 6 is not going to make a difference. We're still looking at the end of April through the middle of July. That's not going to change. There'll be 12 regular season games. So we can't really talk about it. We can tell you that it is in the works. They are finagling some home and away dates. For the most part, we have the week spread of what day we will play which team. But just with the travel and packaging of games, for example, some teams like to package games on a whole weekend. For example, New Orleans, you remember last year, Trent, they did a Thursday, Saturday split with us. They went to the roots. They drove over to Panama City, made that 4-ish hour drive, and then they came 2-3 more hours to do Tallahassee just a couple days later. A club with the backing and the means that they have, they can do kind of that road trip and, just kind of synergize because these guys are all friends. And even though they're rivals, bigger mission at play here is small league soccer, trying to grow the sport and cordial. I mean, because you're going to have to deal with these guys, and hopefully we'll be progressing through the ranks. We already bumped up from Tier 5 to Tier 4 here last year, so who knows? We could be joining some of those independent leagues, which we could have some conversations on later. But all that to say is, Trent, yeah, we're talking schedule. Nothing's really changed, but it's in the works. And so we talked about at the last podcast recording that we should have this schedule, and we do. And so I feel like we're on pace. So maybe give us to the end of February, and we will be able to publish something. Of course, once we get the green light here from TSC, Trent, things are moving in the right direction, but not really any announcements. You got any thoughts on the schedule, which we cannot talk about, which we're great at doing, by the way. More big news. We talked about it in the rumor mill last week. Hey, guys, also big news we can't talk about. That's object number 2 that we want to talk about that was not on your preview 3-pack of rundowns, Trent, so I want to throw that into the mix once again. But any thoughts on things that we cannot talk about, which is the most ridiculous concept for a primarily audio-based talking platform of things we cannot talk about?
Yeah, so I remember on last week's episode, watched it today. Obviously, we just dropped it as the same day we're recording this new one. And so went ahead and looked over that. And I remember saying in that I was going to get you guys the schedule this upcoming week. Well, we've got the schedule. We just can't share it. So I do apologize for, another false promise, me. But no, but anyhow, we just got to get word from Petley and MPSL. So once we get that, as soon as we know, we'll get that to you, probably on social media. And then a couple of days later, there'll probably be a pod talking about it, giving you the rundown. So we're going to go ahead and move on. We got some U19 action up there in Bainbridge. What's going on across the border, my man?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about a lot of the U19 guys and, of course, the highlights, the youth movement, that we're always looking for the progression of the club, and we're trying to grow not only the senior team but the U19 team. So we talked about a lot of the Florida guys and what they're doing down here big in the playoffs, and be staying tuned because we have guys, as this being filmed, we have games going on right now. So we'll keep you up to date on social media just because we don't feel like we'd be really confident of giving you live game updates. Plus, by the time this records, they probably would have played another game anyways, so it doesn't really make sense. But, of course, we'll make sure to keep you posted on the Florida guys. But just a little note, up in Bainbridge, the Georgia guys are just getting their season started. Shout out Mason Ard, U19 member, 2 goals. His Bearcats taking down Lowndes 3-1, their first win of the season here in game number 2. And the U19 shining bright. Hey, they do it down here in Florida. You talked about your boy Cade Swart on the brink of 20 goals this season. Mason Ard, he might be trying to chase him down. Him and Guy are both. Any chance they get 80-plus goals this season, Trent? Between the two of them?
I was going to say, individually? Probably not. But also, I don't know. Guy is a record breaker, so you never know. Dang, 80 goals between. Now, are you talking like goals and assists?
Not points, just straight goals.
So 40 goals each.
Geyer was on the brink of 50 last year, so can he replicate maybe 80% of his goals, and can he get Mason on board with him, captain of the Bearcats over there in Bainbridge?
I mean, Mason's got at least 2 through 2. Yeah. I'll say 75, but yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous pace, but I love it. But anyways, just to continue to shout out, of course, check out the description below. We'll have some playoff updates here for those brackets of those guys that we referenced. Charles, Florida High, McClay, all at this recording still in the postseason, so make sure to keep up on those guys here in Florida, but also in Georgia, man. Like we said, senior team, U9 team alike, North Georgia, South Florida, Big Bend. This is for you. Soccer everywhere in there. TSC is the spot, whether it be U19 or the senior team. Get going here. Trent, but I think that's a good wrap-up. Quick little update on our U19 guys. Let's keep on rolling. We got one more topic you interested in here, and I think it's more kind of big picture, and you kind of plant those seeds, Trent. You talk about trusting the process, feeding the beast. You see some little steps and progressions and growth here in the club. What is one of those elements that happened within the last couple weeks here, come end of January, early February, that we didn't get a chance to talk to about in the last podcast?
For sure, man. So got to shout out our boy Sean Buchanan, Shawnee B. He was out there. There was an FSU business seminar, and he represented TSC. He's on the board at TSC, and so he went out there. He's a former FSU alum. I found out he actually used to work for the Atlanta Hawks. They had a little booth set up, so he was able to go and talk with them and stuff. So he's just getting out there trying to grow the sport, the community, the club, and just really getting us out there some good press from Sean. So we really appreciate that. It goes a long way, and really just trying to get out there and get the youth involved with this club, man.
Yeah, for sure. And just for clarification, that was with the business school and sport management and kind of those arenas. So people that are at FSU that are looking to get into those kind of careers. I mean, you just asked our boy Justin Gibbons, who did a very similar internship with TSC. You go through the process. Petley, the board, the gang open up, hey, this is how we do our sport management here on a semi-professional level, and this is how we structure it. These are the choices being made. So fantastic opportunity for young people looking to get involved in TSC, able to be showcased that. And how much legitimacy is that when you're able to do that at a major university with such a great sports management and business track record? I think that shows you the growth, and FSU's kind of recognizing this here. We got to get TSC in on this. And I think that's a two-way street. TSC now with enough credibility to get in there and shows you the growth and to be able to get more people in this and continue to better that product, because this is a continuous work in progress of the club. They're always trying to do better by the people, for the people, and the community and the guys here on this soccer team, because they'll always say on the list of operations and objectives and what they're trying to do, people first, community second, soccer third. And I would like to add podcast fourth. But that's another sidebar here, Trent, that we will focus on as our duties here of how we can help the club and get the news out and continue to hype this thing up. But, yeah, super cool. Shawnee B, we don't really know him that well. If we knew him, I like to call him Shawnee Biscuits, because he's feeding the beast, man. And that's what we're all about here. Toss him a couple biscuits, get that thing going. But, yeah, so cool to see, of course, the president and the board of directors out there making big things happen. So that pretty much has to do it for our updates here, Trent. Any other things on the news that we've seen here? Of course, in a young 2022, but big 2022 here for TSC as we're getting ready, man. Less than 3 months away from summer season.
Get your jerseys and register to try out for the senior team.
Absolutely. So we should have this drop before tryouts Saturday, February 19th. Don't forget about it. Link for registration in the podcast below, and that'll take care of it. So we're going to jump out here for a quick break. Come right on back here. Final words here from the Tallahassee Talk podcast.
And welcome back, guys. Thanks again for joining us. We're getting ready to sign off here for episode 2, season 2, episode 20, actually, overall. But anyhow, we just want to thank our special guests for joining us today. Really appreciative for their time and their knowledge and just sharing all that information with us. And just like TSC, just like Chris Petley, we're all about giving back to you guys. So if there's somebody you want us to interview next, if there's something that we can do to facilitate whatever needs you guys have for us, go ahead and hit us up on social media. Actually, Jude, why don't you tell these beautiful people, where they can reach us at, man?
Oh, they know they can find us on the socials at Tallahassee Talk on all social media. Of course, we'll put all the links below, including the website, including the YouTube, including the podcast link. We're everywhere now, just like the club. They are everywhere. I love anytime you drop a Petley bomb. For those of age, a dangerous game would be enjoying your favorite adult beverage. Throw one back every time you hear Petley being dropped. But anyways, yeah, as always, Trent, like you said, loved how you phrased it. We want to open it back up to you. You guys are the arms and legs of this club, and you are this podcast, the heartbeat that keeps it going. What do you want to hear? What are some things that we can do, some segments, some interviews, some focus features, or maybe something just a little more entertaining? Of course, we're trying to go beyond just Trent and I, and we're going to be bringing in people as we get the schedule out rolling and his interest builds. So if you're sick of us talking, that's great. Please keep coming back. We will have other people, very interesting conversations, of course, but you already know where you can check us out. However you got here, keep coming on back and we can take care of business. But like you said, Trent, that'll do us all here for episode 20. Thanks again so much for coming aboard with us. To the goal, feed that beast. We'll see you episode 21.